We all know about Miss United States. Well, now there's a competition for men, which is of course called Mr. United States. And Avery D. Wilson is Mr. United States 2016. He's actually from right around the corner in Baton Rouge, and he was actually the first Mr. United States.
Tell us about some of the work that you do and why do they call you Mr. United States 2016?
Absolutely. Well, the Mr. United States organization is a brand new organization for young men across the country who really want to give back to their community. It's the guy that Miss America and Miss Universe would probably want.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of everything. It's scholarship, it's service, it's community service, giving back in terms of platform-driven work. It's everything for men that you see typically for the women in pageants. It's private interview, it's runway fashion, it's talent, and a culmination of all of those things kind of allowed me to be on top.
You never cease to amaze me, and it's just like whatever you put your mind to, you do it with such, I don't know, it's just like this willingness. I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. Has there ever been a task that you've ever tried to tackle, like, I don't know, this one gonna work out?
You know what, Attention, first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for that. And it feels good to hear that people may be able to see that light, but the reality is that is not always the case. I was definitely bullied a lot in school, so much so to the point that I didn't want to go to school. I can remember vividly in elementary school hearing chants on the bus as I got on the school bus. I had an hour or so to get to my school, so I can still hear the chant, Avery is a girl, a sissy and a fag. And next thing you know, it was this whole thing of just not being close to me, because if I touched you, then you had it. Like, whatever it was. I'll never forget my second grade year, I said I had a headache, like there's just something was going on in my head, that my brain, like my head was just swelling, like to the point where I just needed to go to the doctor over and over. We did CAT scans, you name it, but I stayed out of school for like at least 2 weeks, and all the reports came back clear, and so the doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. But I was literally just lying. My dad was tough. He would make me play sports that I hated. I hated football, I hated baseball, but I made myself love them because I learned how to be good at them. But before I was even saying nothing or talking, boys were already talking about me. So I'm thinking, man, like I'm always gonna be a target. But I realized that straight boys like to win. So I tried to figure out how to get good at the sport. It was those moments of winning Little League championships where all of the guys are running to the mound to pick me up. Like, I was that guy. Like, I was the star pitcher. Like, I was the person who won the championship. Like, I hit the grand slam at the end. Like, I can't tell you how many times that happened to me. I was that star kid athlete. And it's only because I just realized I was working so hard to be liked. You win the championship, you go to eat at, wherever, and you're hanging out and you're with the boys, and then the next day you go back to school and you're that punk again. So I just had to figure out another game. I had to wait till the next weekend for the next game, to remind them, or help them in homework, let them cheat off me or something. Like, you figure out a way. Like, if it dies, if it fades, if they forget, you just remind them. And as I got older, the definition started changing, and so my behavioral response would change. So if I'm told, okay, you're gonna get picked on and teased if you're gay, and gay is, acting like a girl, then I worked hard to not act like a girl. I got a little older, it was, you were gay if you dressed a certain way, or if you walked a certain way, or if you used a certain language. So I would dumb down my language. I'd walk differently, I'd dress differently. Every stage of my life, the definition of what being gay was, being different was, being the target of hatred was, and I just worked hard at becoming that, because I did not want the hatred. I did not want the feeling of being hated. It all came to a head when I realized that I was not going to be able to change who I am. Church is a huge piece for the African American community. Like, you always kind of got your identity and you got your role in life from church. So if I was ever gonna be expunged from a place, it was never gonna be church. I was never gonna allow myself to let the church ostracize me, because I needed the church to be whole. So I'm gonna conform into whatever it is that the church says that I am. And so if the church says that homosexuality is wrong, if the church says that is not love and that you're an abomination, then I'm gonna figure out whatever I gotta do to get rid of it. Even when I got to the point where I started to have dealings with guys, I would still go home and try to scrub it off. because it was just a sin. And a sin is stoppable. Eventually, you can choose to stop doing it. Well, for me, I couldn't stop whatever the behavior was or whatever the thoughts were. And that's when I realized I'm not gonna win because, okay, I can figure out how to fast from activity. I'm not gonna do anything. So that doesn't make me bad because I'm not breaking the rules by doing anything. But then I read something in the Bible, it's like, even if you're thinking it, I'm like, oh, I cannot win because I definitely can't control my thoughts. Like, yeah, so I gave up. Like, I literally had to give up because you can't win. My early 20s was when it started to come to me that, okay, you are not gonna be able to reprogram yourself. You are not gonna be able to press pause and it's just not gonna happen. That's when things started to change for me. Again, everybody's process is specifically designed for them. And my process for letting my parents know about my lifestyle, it was just perfect for me. It was this guy who was just very flamboyant on television or whatever, and we was just me and her sitting there watching it. And so I asked her, I said, Mama, what if I was like him? And she said, what do you mean? I was like, what are your thoughts of this guy, and what if I was just like him? And she said, I'd love you anyway, it didn't matter. Like, that is such the statement of the African-American mother these days. I'm not trying to generalize all Black mothers, but I know for a fact that just in sharing my story with other friends, it always comes to that. I'm gonna love you anyway. So think about it, it's two pieces. It's first and foremost, there's unconditional love that I have for you. Be reminded of that, know that you my child. Like, it's that, so it's comforting, but then I'm gonna love you anyway, or despite that, or regardless. And I'm not trying to say my mom, paint her as a bad person, but I think she's very much so a typical baby boomer. Like, in her life, in her growing up, in her experiences, it wasn't of God, it wasn't the way, I'm supposed to find a wife, I'm supposed to have kids, give her some grandkids. So, all of that got packaged into, I'm gonna love you anyway. And that was enough for me. My father, on the other hand, yeah, we were not gonna do sit in front of the television and have him, no, we weren't gonna do that at all. 22, 23, 25, 27, 20, I still did not have the courage to tell my dad. Because again, think about it, by the time he's now 83, 84, 85, I was thinking, okay, his life is probably, the shorter that's left than that has happened. Don't give him something that just makes his life worse towards the end of it. Like, just live, be well with it. Like, that was my approach with my dad, because I just could not find the words. I'll never forget, I'm like 30 years old, and we're just having dinner. And he's just like, so what do you feel about this whole gay lifestyle? And I will never forget, my eyes just shot open. I'm thinking, two things. What has brought you to this place of comfort that you would even broach the subject? But two, this is a golden opportunity to just let loose, like let go, like say it. Say it. And I said it. His face, I'll never forget, his face did this. that was his way of kind of softening the situation. And that was his way of telling me, you're in a safe place. This is a safe conversation. It's okay. He never came out and said, I support you, that. He never came out in that kind of regards. He definitely told me that I love you. I'm always love you. And that's all I care about. Like, I can't, honestly, my dad was not the most articulate when it comes to using words of affirmation to express and communicate love, but that's one of the few times I could probably count on one hand how many times my dad said, I love you. But learning from him, it's not even about, some people may listen and say, oh, how unfortunate. I think just the opposite. The fact that I can remember every time my dad told me he loved me makes it even more powerful.
Hi, I'm Avery D. Wilson from the red state capital of Baton Rouge, your 2016 Mr. Louisiana. So how about you guys, let's give him some love. Love! Give him some more love. Love! Give him some high love. Love! Give him some low love. Love! How about some rainbow love? Love! Give him some church love. Hallelujah!
It it has been a dream of mine since I was a little boy. I know this sounds crazy because little boys just don't grow up thinking about pageantry, but I was literally that 7-year-old who would watch the Miss USA pageant over and over and over and over. I've always loved pageantry. So growing up, I was thinking my closest reach to pageantry would be probably that I'll maybe become a pageant coach and work with little girls or something like that. I never thought in a million years. I mean, there were 2 pageants in college, a Mr. Pink and Green pageant and a Mr. Southern pageant. I did both of those pageants and I won both of those pageants, but it wasn't like full on pageantry. So when I heard about the Mr. United States opportunity, I'm thinking, I was made for this. So that was the first thing. I knew that I had to do the competition because I don't believe in coincidences. I know that everything happens for a reason, and it just didn't get dropped out of the sky, out of nowhere, and I was supposed to say, oh, Mr. United States competition that I heard about, that's interesting. No, I found out because I was supposed to do it. I firmly believe that. What I didn't know was, how was I going to make this something that was okay to do? Because again, I was still bottling up inner thoughts of not wanting to be overly exposing myself. Oh, people are gonna think pageantry, and then automatically it throws them into your, sexual orientation, and I don't really want that kind of energy on a public scale. I started thinking of everything as to why I could not do it. And I don't think anything great is achieved unless there is some type of struggle or resistance. I think you need the struggle for progress, to be very, very honest. Think about it. I'm starting something very new. People don't know what it is. Most of the other male pageantry, anything that they've heard in terms of male pageantry is either a fitness competition or it's a gay competition. So it's like, okay, you're telling me that this organization is something different, is something not one of those two. So I was constantly having to define it, constantly having to explain it. I'm still having to explain, which I think that's the work of being a pioneer in something. It's your job to be the first example of what it is that you're doing. So I definitely met up with some of those same childhood bullying voices of, oh, that's gay, or that's this or that. But I now realize that had I not gone through that, had I not had some experiential data in how to be resilient amidst adversity, then I wouldn't be fit for the job right now. So the role and the responsibility, it's been huge in that regard. But what's so great about this opportunity also is that I'm building. It's a brand new organization. Getting to be the first Mr. United States is thrilling because I get to write the story. I get to define what it means to be the nation's gentleman. I get to define what this competition, how it grows in terms of being the first title holder to really do impactful work in your community, but also be very outspoken in terms of media. I get to give back to kids using my dance art, but also do motivational speeches. I get to make this whatever I want it to be based off of who I am and what my platform is about. And so it's one of the easiest jobs in the world because I get to be myself.